Welcome to the deep dive. We take complex topics, sift through the research, and, well, give you the key takeaways. Today, we're plunging into a world you might think is resistant to tech leaps. International arbitration, law, tradition, human deliberation. But guess what? AI, artificial intelligence, is making serious waves even here. So, in this deep dive, we'll explore how AI is changing the game. What's it doing already? What's the potential? And, crucially, what are the roadblocks? Our goal, like always, is to give you a shortcut to understanding this mix of law and tech. It's all based on a great piece by Daniel Shukat from Legal Research and Analysis 2025. Okay, let's set the scene. Technology changes industries incredibly fast, right? Well, international arbitration is going through a massive shift right now. AI, digitization, even blockchain, but they're really shaking up how disputes get resolved. And, the COVID-19 pandemic, it really pushed things forward. Suddenly, remote and digital solutions weren't just nice to haves, they were essential. Globally, this led to a big rise in online dispute resolution, ODR. That just means using digital tools, video conferencing, audio, shared platforms to handle arbitration, mediation, negotiation online. And this isn't small scale. Global investment in AI expected to hit, 98 billion USD back in 2023? That's serious money back in this transformation.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it highlights how that line between law and technology is getting, well, blurry. They're not really separate domains anymore.
Blurry is a good word for it. So, okay, with that context, let's get specific. Where is AI actually being used right now in arbitration? First up, selecting the arbitrator. This used to be a really intensive human process. Now you've got AI systems that can scan huge databases. They look at competency, past rulings, potential conflicts of interest, all to suggest the best fit. It boosts transparency, reduces bias.
Yeah, that selection part is critical for fairness.
Yeah.
AI can, theoretically, make it more objective.
Then there's evidence gathering, e-discovery. Think emails, documents, all that digital stuff. It used to take armies of junior lawyers weeks, maybe months. Now, AI tools using machine learning, natural language processing, they can search, sort, and analyze massive amounts of information incredibly efficiently.
The time and cost savings there are just enormous, especially in complex commercial cases with terabytes of data.
Absolutely. Hours versus minutes, potentially. Okay, next. Predictive analytics. Using AI to forecast case outcomes. Machine learning models look at past cases, legal precedents, and predict how an arbitration might go.
Right, and major institutions like the ICC and the Permanent Court of Arbitration, they're already using this. It helps parties strategize, understand risks. It gives them data-driven insights, not just gut feelings.
It's like having a crystal ball, but based on data. Then there's document analysis and legal research. AI's language processing can rip through legal texts, pull out key info, spot patterns humans might miss. Super useful when you're dealing with laws from different countries.
And it reduces human error, frees up lawyers to think about strategy, not just digging through documents.
We already mentioned ODR, online dispute resolution, getting a boost from the pandemic. AI powers parts of this too. Remote hearings, secure document sharing, even automated negotiation tools. It just removes so many logistical headaches.
Makes cross-border disputes much more manageable.
AI can also work as a decision support tool for the arbitrators themselves, giving them instant access to relevant laws, professional standards, similar cases. It helps inform their judgment.
It supplements, rather than replaces, the human element, ensuring those crucial ethical and situational factors are still considered.
And then there's the cutting-edge stuff, the emerging applications. We're seeing general-purpose AI like ChatGPT, Gemini being explored for things like speech recognition during hearings.
And specialized expert systems, like one called Genie, using rules-based logic for international conflicts.
There are even experimental automated agents trying to model negotiations, like in that historical fishing rights dispute between Spain and Canada.
It's really fascinating. What's key here is how these tools aren't just faster. They fundamentally change how information is found, understood, and used. It impacts everything, from who gets picked as arbitrator to how the final deal is negotiated.
Right, it's a fundamental shift. So, okay, we see the applications. What are the actual benefits? Why is this such a potential game changer for people involved in disputes? Well, first, obviously, efficiency. Automating tasks like research, document review, it slashes manual work. Lawyers can focus on higher value stuff, strategy, complex arguments, not just reading endless pages.
Which directly leads to the second point, cost reduction.
Yeah.
Arbitration can be incredibly expensive.
Exactly. AI cuts down on billable hours for things like automated reviews and research. Predictive analytics can save costs, too, by informing strategy early on.
This makes arbitration potentially more accessible, especially for smaller businesses or individuals who might have been priced out before. It democratizes access.
Then there's the potential for improved decision-making. AI's ability to analyze vast data sets, identify patterns, even predict outcomes with some accuracy. It gives arbitrators more empirical data to work with.
The idea is it can help minimize cognitive biases that humans inevitably have, leading to potentially fairer, more consistent decisions.
And accessibility again, but in a different way. Think user-friendly tools. Chatbots or virtual assistants powered by AI could guide people through the process, explain jargon. That's huge for self-represented parties, or in places with less developed legal support.
Definitely lowers the barrier to understanding the process.
Here's a really interesting one. Enhancing cultural sensitivity. International disputes often involve different cultural backgrounds, right? Misunderstandings can happen.
AI frameworks are being developed that can analyze cultural nuances in how arguments are presented. They can identify culturally specific points, maybe even suggest more neutral ways to frame things. That enhances fairness in cross-border situations.
That's pretty amazing. And finally, the strategic angle. Arbitration, being a bit more flexible than traditional courts, is like a testing ground for these AI tools.
Yeah, innovations proven here could eventually improve efficiency across the entire legal system.
So, connecting this all together, it's not just about doing things faster.
No, if we look at the bigger picture, AI has the potential to level the playing field financially, refine legal reasoning itself, and even foster better cross-cultural understanding in disputes. It's quite profound.
But it's not all straightforward, is it? There have to be challenges.
Oh, absolutely. Significant ones. This isn't a simple plug-and-play situation.
Okay, let's get into the hurdles. First, data. International arbitration is often confidential. Awards aren't always public.
Right, and AI needs lots of data to learn effectively. So if you have limited training data, how reliable are the AI's insights? That's a big question mark. Data scarcity is a real issue.
Then the legal and regulatory side, things are murky.
Very murky. Existing laws like the U.S. Federal Arbitration Act or the big international treaty, the New York Convention, they weren't written with AI arbitrators in mind.
The source says they're not mature enough to absorb AI technologies. So how do you enforce a decision made or assisted by AI? There's a lot of ambiguity. Tech moves faster than law.
Always does.
And that leads straight into ethics and legitimacy concerns.
Huge ones. Algorithmic bias is probably top of the list. If the training data reflects societal biases, the AI could perpetuate or even worsen them.
So you risk embedding unfairness into the system.
Exactly. Plus, there are deeper philosophical or cultural reservations. The source mentions the Islamic legal view, for example, that an AI simply cannot replace a human judge or arbitrator. The human element is seen as essential.
And practically, can AI handle really complex cases?
Well, it's great for more straightforward stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
But those incredibly nuanced, high-stakes business disputes often require deep human understanding, judgment, empathy even. AI isn't there yet.
So it supports, but doesn't replace humans in those complex scenarios.
That seems to be the consensus for now.
And we can't forget privacy and data security.
A massive concern, especially with cross-border cases involving different data protection laws like GDPR in Europe. AI processes huge amounts of sensitive data. You need incredibly robust systems to protect confidentiality.
So adding it all up, the tech itself still has limitations.
Yes, modern AI is powerful, but it's not human. Studies suggest it still needs development to fully replicate human judicial functions.
Which points towards hybrid approaches.
Precisely. Combining AI's efficiency and analytical power with human oversight, judgment, and ethical grounding seems like the most promising path forward, at least for the foreseeable future.
It really raises that core question, doesn't it? How do you leverage this incredible technology without undermining justice, accountability, and that essential human touch?
That's the tightrope we have to walk. Balancing innovation with fundamental legal principles. It forces a deep think about what parts of the justice process truly require human input.
Okay, so if hybrid is the way forward, what does the future landscape actually look like? How does this balance play out?
Well, models like the semi-automated arbitration process, or SEAP, are emerging.
SEAP. Tell me more.
The idea is AI does the heavy lifting on data analysis, maybe flags potential biases or inconsistencies, highlights key points. But the final interpretation, the weighing of qualitative nuances, the ultimate decision that remains collaborative, with humans firmly in the loop, AI augments, it doesn't automate the final judgment.
So AI sharpens human decision-making.
That's the goal. Make it more informed, more consistent, potentially fairer, but keep human responsibility central.
And the push towards digital, thanks to COVID, has kind of prepped the ground for this, right?
Definitely. Electronic filing, virtual hearings, digital evidence. These are becoming standard procedure now. That makes integrating AI tools feel like a more natural next step, less of a radical leap.
The article also mentions investor-state arbitration, ISDS, as a potential testing ground.
Yes, ISDS, where investors sue governments, has faced criticism for inconsistencies and high costs. It's seen as a potentially fertile area to try out more advanced AI applications, perhaps learn lessons before applying them more broadly.
Makes sense. But underpinning all of this is the law. How are legal frameworks adapting or needing to adapt?
That's the crux of the enforcement issue. It varies hugely by country, by jurisdiction.
A key question is, can an AI system even be considered an impartial court or tribunal under existing laws?
Some places, like England apparently, are starting to explore interpretations where AI could meet certain impartiality standards, which is interesting.
What about the U.S., the Federal Arbitration Act?
The FAA is generally very pro-arbitration. Its main principle, reinforced by the Supreme Court, is enforcing arbitration agreements as written. So if parties explicitly agree to use AI arbitration in their contract, the FAA might well require courts to enforce that agreement.
And federal law often overrides conflicting state laws in this area.
Yes, the FAA's preemption power is strong, so it could provide a relatively supportive environment for AI arbitration if the parties agree to it up front.
But internationally, the New York Convention is the big one for enforcing awards across borders.
And that's where the uncertainty really kicks in. It was written decades before AI like this was even imagined.
Can it be stretched to cover AI awards?
Some argue it could be interpreted technologically, meaning its principles could apply. But the real hurdle is national courts. Even if a country signed the convention, its local laws and courts might just refuse to recognize an award generated by a machine. They might see it as violating fundamental principles of justice or due process in their own system.
So individual countries need to update their own laws.
Exactly. The article mentions Egypt looking at reforms to its Arbitration Act, specifically to accommodate AI. That's what's needed: globally systemic legal updates to align with the tech.
But always ensuring those core principles, party autonomy, fairness, transparency are protected.
Absolutely. That's the tightrope again. It's this constant push and pull. Harness the tech, but safeguard the values. It really shows how law has to evolve with society and technology.
So wrapping this up, we've seen AI has massive potential in international arbitration, boosting efficiency, cutting costs, maybe even making things fairer through data analysis, cultural sensitivity.
But we've also hit the major challenges: data limitations, laws lagging behind, ethical worries about bias, privacy risks, and the fact that AI just isn't ready to handle everything, especially complex human issues.
Which leads us back to that hybrid model, AI supporting human arbitrators, not replacing them. That seems to be the path forward, especially while the legal systems play catch-up.
It's about finding the right synergy between machine intelligence and human judgment.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. As AI keeps getting smarter and our legal frameworks slowly adapt, what new definition of justice might actually emerge from this team-up between human minds and artificial intelligence? What stood out most to you in this deep dive?